Hello and welcome to Beacon Space's lore stream 23. Can you imagine we've been doing this 23 turns now? As always, broadcasting from BPTV's Independence, I'm signifying our approach to an independent and non-corporate controlled news team. I'm Xavier Stortis in the orbit of Helocytus, this sector, or this system today, whatever words are, while my co-host Lupus is actually reporting planetside.
Thanks, Xavier. As you mentioned, I am planetside today, currently attending MudCon 1036, where the cosplay contest is in full swing. Hey, did you know that last year you were the most popular cosplay character? There's quite a few copycats running around here today, just behind the cameraman. And the winner last year was actually a gender-bent, cute girl version of you.
I did not, and I am now very glad you have the assignment on planet rather than myself. I imagine it would be quite awkward having to interview myself on planet. Huh.
Well, it's funny, as you say that, stood behind me are three teenagers who are dressed in various stages of my prison stay. They have the picture from my court trial, the pictures from inside my cell, and then the outfit that I wore on the day of my release. And they're walking around, it's like a time warp thing. And yeah, trust me, it is awkward. We're going to be hearing more from MudCon later in the broadcast, but for now, I'm going to go over our other top stories. Transmission has been completed for the Tahorify exploratory vessels in Langan. They've completed their exploration of an unusual temple, including reconnecting with near real-time communications to the system. I can't emphasize how exciting this is, not having the delay to their craft anymore. It'll be presented later in the broadcast.
And the Algomala Travel Agency is at it again, advertising Calypso as the next hit destination within the sector, where every encounter brings new wonder.
News out of the Thusis system today is a bill with a special report on Providence, the great tree of Helocytus, given our stop on this planet.
And of course, not to miss Helocytus famous reporter Chaz Gusto Prime. Trey Grin this week, bringing us the next installment in their own reporting.
Yes, I'm sure it will be fantastic as always. Outside of the news cycle, we are running a special editorial report on MudCon. I'll be informing you of the best place to buy tickets or multi-day passes. You'd better hurry, the event is a landslide.
And we'll be bringing you a teaser for the new publication from BBTV's sister company, Beacon Broadcast Publishing, with Professor Huxley English's new work, Beacon Space, A Primer. As part of this work, they've uncovered an oral story of first arrival to Beacon Space centuries ago, being published in the collected volume for the first time.
No, I'm busy. No. Look, they've done the job. Tell the contractors they're going to get paid, but I'm on camera. I can't be talking about this right now.
Of course, Calbrick, Professor English would pay all of his contractors fair and square. I'm glad you're helping to get that settled away. And of course, getting paid fair and square, we have to get that done too, after a brief word from our sponsors.
No, bring the rigger over here.
Silent Night Cargo Concerns. We invite travelers to the sector of the brilliant world of Telos. Be it for business or pleasure, Silent Night provides swift and secure transit for visitors of the center system. Cutting through the red tape, our dedicated teams will make sure your passes and permits are squared away so that you don't have to mess with the hassle of bureaucracy in your travel plans. Our services go beyond simply for your person. As our name implies, we handle a wide range of cargo concerns, be it a porter service that can get your holiday bags straight to your hotel room, to providing storage facilities, or even negotiating bulk goods through local customs. We've got you covered. Through our affiliates in Falufo Kaliki, we offer half-hourly shuttle services from the bountiful TTGI station to the planet's many floating cities. Safe and reliable service is vital to the health of our clients, and that is why the security travelers and their cargo is our top priority in the void space of the center system. Call now to ask about our Guardian Protection Package.
once again to the Tahora Fai and the Silent Night Cargo Concerns for sponsoring today's episode of Beacon Space TV. Welcome everyone, I'm Xavier Stordes. You may know me on the Discord as Lichmaster98 or any other names I've gone by on there recently, quite frequently accompanied by a neutral face, but right now actually using the same character art that is sometimes present on these streams. Yeah, thanks for joining us here today in Beacon Space's lore stream. If you're not sure what Beacon Space is, well, there's a primer coming out soon that'll hopefully introduce you to the world of Beacon Space, but it's a sci-fi setting set in the near-far future with a technology base a little bit more advanced than our own, as well as interesting ways of transiting the system. We're currently on the planet of Helocytus for this in-fiction reporting, so I'm sure we'll be hearing lots more about this world that's controlled by the Children of the Vein. Calbrick, would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Lupus Calbrick. I am the co-host of the Lore Stream, and I run the Free Agents RPG set within Beacon Space at a lower level than the faction turn. And today we are looking at submissions from the factions for the lore events that are happening around the sector.
Sounds exciting. With that, I think we should get into our first news report of the day, brought to you by the Children of the Veins reporters Trey Gren. Let's see what they've found for news around the system this turn.
This report has been made possible by the New Eden Gene Bank. Be a better you. Visit your local branch for a consultation.
Hello, Beacon Space. This is Trey Grin, filling in for Chaz, who is currently hosting a House of the Star Dragon watch party. Here with the latest from around the sector. In the news this cycle, a cultural uprising, the bombastic return of Magus Tanker Vial, and the thrilling end to the Calbrick killer story. First, an update on the political upheaval on the recently discovered planet designated BA. In the midst of stirring political tension from the arrival of the Exodus Missionary Center and the presentation of medical alternatives to cybernetics, the ruling council of the planet entered into a sealed week-long debate in the privacy of the planetary capital. However, on the day of the final vote, once the Capitol building was unsealed, no trace of the ruling council could be found, throwing the world into political strife. Who could be behind this frightening disappearance? We'll be following the story more in the coming cycles. The infamous Bleed Magus, known as Tanker Vial, was found safe this past cycle after several decades missing. Tanker was reportedly last seen attempting an incredible feat of magic, warping 2 starship engines together mid-transit 43 years ago today. An event that resulted in a catastrophic explosion that took the lives of several hundred individuals. Magus Tanker was found following an engine failure event on a commercial cargo vessel near the site of his disappearance all those years ago. Tanker is currently in custody by court order of the Honorable Judge Clouseau. I'm sure Tanker's currently wishing he could travel back in time right about now. For our last story, the daring capture of the so-called Calbrick Killer. According to a press statement from the Bees Team Mason, the Calbrick Killer was tracked to the abandoned subterranean mining town of Graphite Ridge, taking refuge in a hidden medical facility. Upon entering the facility, Team Mason encountered a large number of L. Calbrick clones under the control of an AI supercomputer. A battle ensued between the bleed counter specialists of Team Mason, the Killer, and the malevolent AI, with electrogenic shock weapons and hijacker control worms used to disable the AI. The facility was destroyed in the resulting violence, killing the Calbrick clones, though the AI was reportedly captured intact and braked, currently awaiting proper disposal in an undisclosed security facility. Inglee Media has reportedly already acquired the film rights to the Calbrick Killer story as of this broadcast, and we eagerly await the dramatic reenactment. And that concludes our sector report for this cycle. Plenty of magic and mystery this time around. Tune in next time to see what strange new stories we have in store for you then. And who knows, maybe you'll even get Chaz back next time. Yeah. Well, this has been Trey Grin, blipping out.
Thanks, Triggerin, for that thrilling report, as always. Calbrecht, how does it find you to know that there was an unhinged AI creating clones of yourself to impersonate you to commit crimes?
It does make me even more aware of the people who look like me stood behind me.
Sorry to make your day covering the MudCon even more awkward, but the news is what it is.
I did once lose a Calbrecht lookalike contest, and I may again today. But that was a thrilling report, and I look forward to watching that movie. AI technology has been on the increase or the decrease. It's hard to know when our technological history is so poorly documented.
Of course, it's on an increase from all recent recorded history. Well, with that out of the way, have you been able to explore any of the events that are occurring at MudCon? I believe the map I was provided listed a few different activities going on. Maybe you could tell a crowd about them.
Indeed, yes. In a few moments after this broadcast, I will be going to provide color commentary for the Tier 5 Biobot battle, wherein Mighty Mouse and a monkey-armed simian robot are doing battle. It should be quite exciting here. There's loads of biotech events, genetic modification, robot technology, music, cosplay. There's all kinds of things going on at MudCon, and I would highly encourage anyone to visit at least once in their life.
And if I'm correct, the Biobot competition requires the competing robots to be 45% biomaterial, as opposed to being a completely inorganic structure. Is that correct?
That is correct. In addition, in each of the 5 tiers of competition, from the top Pro League down to the Pro-Am Tier 5, there are intelligence quotients, or AIQs, that must be adhered to. We can't be having robots that are too smart fighting against their stupider competitors.
Of course. Heavily regulated sport, as all competitive ones should
Indeed.
be.
Safety is important when we have bionic flamethrowers going up against giant tongue flippers.
I believe we actually have a poster later on this broadcast from one of the competitors to display.
Indeed, a relatively unknown competitor, Team Big Lick, is currently taking the event hall by storm, with crowds of people lining up to take pictures, get their autograph, and yet nobody can remember hearing about Team Big Lick before this event. It's quite the rising star mentality. We don't know where this team has come out of, but they are competing in Tier 4. Maybe if they do well enough, we'll see them rising the ranks at the next year's MudCon.
Well, I'm sure our team of investigative reporters are tracking down all leads as to the sources of this new team, the Big Lick, and if you're interested, of course, in attending, MudCon passes still are available for purchase at a little limited time. It looks like the pricing I have here is about 5,000 Taletian credits for an all-access pass that does not include early entry. Early entry is only granted to the competitors of select events.
Yep, we are currently sold out of 4-day passes. However, 2- and 3-day passes are still available, and if you want late entry, though there's only a few hours left here on the first day, you can still get in. It will be full price, unfortunately, so I don't know if I'd recommend it, but the next 3 days should be superb. Come along and make sure you get your tickets, because they will be rejecting people on entry. There is no box office. You must buy online before you arrive.
Absolutely. With that, though, I believe you are bringing us the last installment in the thrilling story from the Tohorafai's exploratory vessels. Would you like to give us your great artistic rendition?
Absolutely. The reconnection of communication to the Tohorafai exploratory vessels, as has become a regular part of our broadcast. but it may be approaching its conclusion. The crew have finally managed to wrest control of the station, bypassing security measures as their support vehicles arrive. It took several days for teams to completely explore, survey, and document and detail the site. However, near the end of the investigation, lead explorer Turta Al-Haj was inflicted with a strange vision. They recount it as such. Greetings, Al-Haj, and welcome to Hidden Bleed Temple. You find yourself in the presence of this temple's presence and operator. I can tell you have begun to fully master this temple, and seeing as all attempts at contacting have failed, I find myself free of obligations. The defenders of this temple shall bother you no more. Instead, my creations shall be entrusted to one of the powers whose presence I can detect via the or in your tongue, the bleed. I shall grant you the ability to contact me in the future. When you do, please let me know the name of this temple, as well as who I should instruct on the proper care of this facility. All those who wish to serve here should be a lens, with a master lens selected to lead this place. A vast knowledge of the galaxy beyond is known to me. When you next contact me, and all future times, you will be permitted to ask a question to which only I shall answer. This distressing vision sent Al-Haj into a convulsive seizure. They were rushed to a medical bay, medics rushing to their aid, and managed just barely to stabilize the lens from the overwhelming bleed energy which was surging through their system. The final reports of the survey team indicate that the Bleed Temple is in remarkable preserved condition despite its age and the recent firefights. Its orbit of Langan is much closer in appearance than the distance reported, one would believe, by travel, corroborating the strange phenomena initially being logged by the Ranzo.
That is a very interesting report out of the Tahora Faiz sector.
Indeed, it's interesting seeing this strange hidden bleed temple, and whether Al-Haj was contacted by an extra-dimensional energy or was simply going into some near-death experience from the energy overload. It's hard for us to know, but regardless, it is certain that this facility, built aeons ago, will be a vital tool in our ongoing research into the extra-dimensional energy.
Sounds interesting indeed. Well, with that, do we have other compelling stories for today? I believe we do.
Next up, we have another entry from the Aguamala Syndicate and their Board of Tourism, presenting to us another advertisement for sector travel.
That's right, they're bringing you a world of Calypso where every encounter is a new surprise. You can visit Calypso, this world of wonder, today. Brought to you by the Aguamala Touring Agency as well as the Aguamala Syndicate as a whole. Say, Calbert, do you happen to know where you'd like to be reporting from next? I may have a recommendation.
Indeed, look at those skies. Calypso, a world of wonder with its vibrant greens and its purple sky and its red rock mountains, beautifully depicted here on their tourism site. It is a fantastic entry into the ongoing series of advertisement works done by the Aguamala Syndicate, following on in the series that was started with such award-winning entries as No Place Like Gome. Now we have Calypso, World of Wonder, and I wonder where I'll be heading next.
We will have to find that out in the near future. With that, we'll thank the Aguamala Syndicate's Tourism Board for their advertising submission today, and move right along to our next top story, which I believe is a report of yours coming from the Children of the Veins surface today in Helocytus.
Yes, while we do this of our own free will, it is also a legal requirement from the Children of the Vein to promote the culture of the Heliocytan atmosphere and culture while we are broadcasting from the planet. So here my entry is Providence, the Great Tree. You can see it from space, a colossal bone-white tree breaching through the lower atmosphere of the world, its roots embedded in the crust of what might once have been a mountain range. From a distance, its enormous leaves appear almost iridescent, its foliage displaying every color in the visible spectrum. A constant stream of glittering vessels, both mechanical and biological, make their way to and fro between this towering tree and the jump points of the system, like shimmering pollen in a dark void. From the highest boughs and branches, gigantic swollen amber sacs of amniotic fluid, hanging like grotesque fruit, writhe and distend with the activity of growing fetal bioship creatures, half seen through the semi-transparent skins of their birthing sacs, waiting to burst forth and make their first forays into the deep, dark void for which they were born. This is Providence, the Great Tree, primary starport of Helocytus, and holy capital city of the Children of the Vein. The tree is home to millions of residents of nearly every known sapient species, and plays host to further tens of millions of biodrones of every shape, size, and function. Enormous transitpedes scutter up and down the boughs of the tree city, ferrying along hundreds of the diverse and colorful residents, while sleek organic shuttle flies zip deftly through the space between branches to swiftly navigate private passengers around the city's hanging heights. The tree is a constant buzz of activity, but don't be fooled by the crowds. Many of the strange creatures and odd simulacra of people making their way across the branches are mindless biodrones, bioengineered beasts of burden with no capacity for higher thought or emotion. Hulking monsters, skittering insects, and faceless humanoids, all born of the blood of their parent masters and bonded to their service without capacity for question or sentience, like so many extra limbs. Life for the city's residents is an idyllic experience, stunning cloud-top vistas upon hanging branch oasis, each like its own island paradise in the sky. Water and oxygen flows through the limbs of the tree, providing fresh sustenance for all, with lakes, springs, and waterfalls forming on its mountainous bark and massive leaf structure, with fresh air being plentiful even among the highest branches. The tree itself consumes the waste and pollutants of its residents and visitors, absorbing and consuming the matter naturally, winning Providence several awards as one of the cleanest cities in the sector. Though a popular destination for foreign travelers, first-time visitors to the tree often find their first experience at the great port of Helocytus to be an awkward adjustment. Though amenities, utilities, and services are plentiful, the nature of life among the veins requires an open mind regarding the nature of technology. Conventional electronics and machines are a rare sight here. Everything on the tree, just as much of Helocytus, is provided for through bioengineering and organic constructs. Electrogenic organ cables, like those found in eels, carry electricity where it's needed to interface with the electricity of foreign devices for the convenience of visitors. Soft-skinned bioluminescent bulbs provide light. Fine microhairs in shielded organic receptors, reminiscent in appearance to Gorgonian coral capture and project wireless signals used by communication devices. Chameleonic chromatophores on screen membranes act as high-definition image and video displays, and more. For every technology, there is an organic alternative. Providence provides, as they say.
Always interesting to learn about the new worlds as we journey around the sector to bring reporting to all of its citizens. Helocytus is one of the most interesting sights every time we get a chance to visit.
Indeed, it's always an adjustment to have a plug adapter that can sweat. I have to keep it well fed before a trip. A power bank that can flex and grow and eat is an interesting experience, but conforming to any culture can be a bit of a shock. So I encourage everyone to do a little bit of research before they come to Helocytus, but also being a neutral news team, we also have to promote people to go to other planets in the sector that don't have such fantastic gene editing and fantastic elective surgery options as Helocytus. If you want an inferior experience, you can go to other planets.
Of course, and this is an appropriate reminder to thank the New Eden Gene Bank for their generous contributions, which keeps Beacon Space Tonight, as well as many of Beacon Space's programming, on air throughout the year.
Be a better you.
I'd like to thank the Children of the Vein for preparing an update on the culture and story of the Providence tree in Helocytus for today's broadcast. With that, I believe we've rotated around to talking more about the MudCon event. As you'll start being able to see here on screen, we'll be displaying a few of our posters that have been created for the event, and maybe you'll be able to talk us through a few of these as they rotate around on screen, Calbrick.
Indeed, as we have heard about Providence, their capital city, further south in the Garden of the Beasts, the militant city ran by the theological vein of the Hydra, there is a counterculture convention going on, a biohack and biotech convention called MudCon, so called because it is so called in the mud, as Garden of the Beasts is a swamp city with riverways taking the place of roads. Here, individuals who are heavily augmented and like to fuse technology and biotechnology show off their wares, compete, and of course, plenty of merch opportunities to get that MudCon swag.
Did I even hear you managed to find yourself one of the BioBattleCon 1031 participation trophies, given the excess they produced that year by an order of magnitude mistake that ended up with over 100 times the original order volume? They've actually been giving these out, I hear, for the past 5 MudCons due to that excess inventory.
Yeah, some numbers have been easier to convert than the others. With the 6, you can simply add a loop at the bottom of the 1 and almost correct the mistake. We are working on getting pins with the correct embezzling just for our own collection. But yeah, if you are participating in an event, you will get the wrench and bone pin motif that is a limited edition, although not so limited as of 5 years ago when someone added an extra 0 to the order. However, the organizers have assured me that within the next 3 years they will produce an updated version.
Quite an interesting mistake for them to have made.
Quite indeed. There is some arguing about a smudge tool. I'm not sure what that means or what that is in reference to, but that's what I'm hearing here on the ground, Xavier.
Well, thank you for your enthralling reporting. Perhaps we should take a moment to talk about this Big Lick Biobot that's been an up-and-rising star. Have any members of the team been available for interviews or comment requests? We'd have loved to hear from anything given their rapid rise to fame.
I've been going by their booth a few times this morning and as it's gone into the afternoon, but each time I stop by I haven't been able to track down a member of the team aside from one of their helper bots that seems to be their some novel and unique design, looking like an extended wasp type model. I'm not sure who has produced it, but it appears to be the team assistant or perhaps even a manager. I don't judge, as they are there promoting the robot and giving out merch that's the only person I've been able to see. But the line's been so long, and I've got a lot of people to talk to while I'm here. I haven't been able to go over there and get an autograph myself just yet.
Perhaps it's time to put on some of that BBTV show business and just march right up to the front of the line. And, I'm sure everyone will understand when it's for the media.
I did try that. It looks like some people in line are bribing the team manager with shiny objects. I hope this is not an ongoing problem with the Biobot community, but I have reported it to the marshals, and we will see what their findings conclude.
That's very interesting. Perhaps we could find a shiny object of our own to present.
Indeed. Perhaps it is a Pushu Yonta plot. We are not too far away, as they are in the Sector West pushing in, but I have yet to see any of the birded buffoons.
Quite interesting. What other events are happening at MudCon other than just the Bio Convention? I hear there is live music, as many of these conventions are oft to have.
Yes, indeed. Headlining the event are two local stars. Wild Boy, famous for his second album, the anti-establishment Hydra Drools, protesting against the management of the Garden of the Beasts. We also have a local artist, Serenity Blaze, who is going on a downward slant in her career, as she has recently been quite outspoken to the music industry as a whole, burning bridges, etc. She is known for her rock style, claims to be following something called the 80s, but I'm not sure what she means by that.
There are lots of 80s across the sector. There's the 80 angelic voices, there's the 80 Tibetan drums, there's the... yes, there are far too many 80s to make a pick here.
It could be a temperature reference, or perhaps even a drug reference.
I don't know. We'll have to explore the archives of history to discover which 80s makes the most sense.
Indeed, we have reached out for comment, but got told to...
Yes, of course.
Sorry, I've just been told that I cannot say those words on our broadcast, and I was censored.
Yeah, of course. Our censoring techniques are silent censors rather than auditory ones.
Indeed.
With that, thanks for reporting on MudCon. Hopefully you can enjoy the remaining 3 days of the event without much interruption.
We will see how the rest of the event unfolds.
Interesting. Perhaps we'll have to consider having Serenity Blaze on the next segment of People in Beacon Space, or Lives in Beacon Space, in next month's lore stream.
Absolutely, that would be a great interview.
That sounds fantastic. Well, perhaps we should move on to our encyclopedic review of the publications made to the Wiki. And we're going to be doing that if I can get this to share. Hey, look at that. I can share a web browser without it breaking.
Perfect. Yeah, following on the theme of today, as has been highlighted, the Free Agents RPG has been focusing on Helocytus. And I wanted to highlight that when this was announced on a previous lore stream, the response from the Children of the Vein players of the faction was enthusiastic and creative. Each of the important locations that were detailed already on their wiki page were expanded massively, including, very helpful for me as a DM, first-hand account written lore snippets of what it would be like to be in that city. It's really good writing. It's very entertaining prose, and I'd encourage everybody to go and take a look at the Helocytus page on our wiki. They have done some very good work creating a planet and an atmosphere and a culture that is entertaining to learn about.
Nice. As always, you can check out quite a bit about the Beacon Space world on the wiki.
But speaking of lore creation, I hear that there is a journalist who has been making a promo book that you have some involvement with.
Yes, that's quite right. Professor Huxley English, working with the sister company of ours in Beacon Broadcast Publishing, has been working to put together a series of entries into the world of Beacon Space to better define the setting, especially given the constant influx of new arrivals following the Beacon's activation, time unbeknown ago, excuse me. With that, though, they have provided with us a small segment to introduce the world of Beacon Space. It's an oral account from a first-hand arrival after the Beacon activation from all recorded available documents. It's from centuries ago. The original speaker and arrival have been lost to time, but its story has been passed down through an art of oral storytelling. This is the first time it's been included in a written manuscript, according to Huxley's research. That said, let's present it for you here. A streak of green light across the sky lasted no more than a moment, and was gone just as suddenly as it had appeared. But its impact has left a legacy on my people. Our scientists were fascinated and tried to isolate what it could mean. Our artists were inspired, and an entire art form, beaconism, arose by the momentary invocations of green light. Great theologians explained the symbol as a sign from the deities, some considering it an ill omen, yet others claimed it was the promised land. Politicians muddled the debate even more, controlling major investments and identifying this phenomenon. But in the end, none of the above mattered, or even enabled our great flight into this sector, but the acceptance of our own planet's demise, and the lure of a promise of a new place to establish our community. And now, after a far journey, we arrived, only to discover just how many people had got here first. This is again a first-hand account of the beacon activation from the initial arrival into Beacon Space.
It's a very good and interesting introduction to Beacon Space. There are dozens and dozens of peoples and cultures that have arrived in Beacon Space, and they each have a unique experience. And it's rather chilling to think about going on this great adventure and realizing that you are the last people to go on this great adventure.
It is always a shocking discovery for new arrivals in Dacia to be surprised by the numerous pilgrimage ships already visiting the site.
Indeed, quite a jarring experience. Like when our ships on the edge of the sector, I say our, the various factions in Beacon Space, as they are pushing towards the edge of the sector, each time we discover an ancient ruin, we realize exactly how young we are as a culture and as a species and as a collective of species, and it's exciting learning more.
Absolutely. Well, with that, I believe we can move on to our final segment for today's stream, and we have a discussion about free agents, which you're the GM of. Calbrick, how about you introduce it to us?
Yes, if we've been talking about the setting of Beacon Space and the lore submissions from factions and players within it, if you would like to participate as a player, as a character on the ground level inside the world of Beacon Space, operating in the morally grey shadows of the giant political factions that we've been talking about, if you want to get down onto the individual level, well, you can. Free Agents is a Cypher System RPG that is set in the criminal underworld of Beacon Space. You can play a sneaky thief, a deadly assassin, you could be an elite hacker, just mercenary muscle carrying a big gun. You know, you could be a rogue master of the bleed and of mental psychic arts, and any other character you can think of that would participate in this criminal underworld, you can come and play.
As has been the topic of this entire lore stream, the current Free Agents arc has been focused on the Children of the Veins homeworld of Helocytus. It's a world that runs deep with mutagenic substances, a world with a deep spherical connection to a planet as a god, and a world that is full of artisans and bioengineers at the cutting edge of biotechnology. Let's hear a little bit more about this story so far.
The Free Agents, which are the names of the players in this RPG, they have been hired and managed by handlers on the hidden Penumbra network communication system. They were initially tasked with setting right a malfunctioning recycling plant in the city called Garden of the Beasts. It's a deeply theocratic swamp city, which produces many of the advanced flesh drone designs that appear around the sector, especially on Helocytus. Upon discovering the recycling plant was in extreme disarray and disrepair, the Free Agents set to fixing it, but they discovered along the way that in cyberspace, an eco-terrorist organization calling themselves the Jesters had claimed to be the saboteurs following an unknown agenda.
Next in the story, a giant AI biorobot and Free Agent XR5 mailed himself to the planet, but arrived in scattered boxes. Agents set to finding and reassembling XR5 were successful, mostly. His right arm is still out there somewhere, with a rather large gun still attached to it.
After that, hide and seek, we ran into Officer Bob. He's a law enforcement agent who had gotten very lost from his Idarast jurisdiction and had set to his own task of Heliocytan frontier justice. He led a team of agents as he helped out one of the many small swamp towns who harvest the nutrient and biomorphically rich blood of the gods, the sap red substance that makes Helocytus such a rich environment for biological manipulation. The village was under siege from opportunistic outsiders. The Free Agents used a calculated application of violence to drive them away, and they were rewarded for their assistance.
Then, on a routine riverboat outing of the city, the group ran into a pack of seemingly wild water creatures causing chaos in a city waterway. They managed to round up or rout the beasts, much to the distress of the mycelium creator Orange Plum. As it turns out, though, he'd been sabotaged by the Jesters as well, leading to these creatures' unintentional release. As it happens, his whole department was facing mysterious outages and events as the Jesters prosecuted a campaign of trolling and annoyance against the bio-researcher. An email unearthed from his computer gave clues to the identity of the Jesters and their eco-warrior agenda. Signs pointed to one place all the Jesters would be: the upcoming Biotech Festival of MudCon.
And so it all comes full circle. Some Free Agents have already explored some of the MudCon events, like the cosplay contest, battle bots, and a bioorganic digital lockpicking contest. They're chasing down leads at the con as they continue in their mission to halt the Jester's dangerous and, more importantly, highly irritating activities. And if that sounds appealing to you, if you'd like to get involved and play along, you are more than welcome to do so.
The Free Agents campaign is West March's style with drop-in and drop-out sessions. You can make a character and participate in as many or as few game sessions as you'd like. If you're interested in joining up, you can get in touch with myself, Calbrecht, or any member of the mod team, and we'll get you the appropriate roles to join the game. Well, you'll also be able to join the Roll20 game and create a character.
Exactly. We look forward to having you if you would like to join us.
That sounds quite like a lot of fun. Who knows, you may even see me playing in a session or two every so often.
Indeed.
Well, thanks, Calbert, for running the Free Agents campaign and providing a very interesting backdrop to set today's episode in. If you've enjoyed today's episode of Beacon Space, please remember to like and subscribe.
And thank you to Xavier Stauditz, my co-host, for being a fantastic GM of the Faction Turn game and the part owner of BBTV, bringing you this broadcast today.
Absolutely. And speaking of the Faction Turn, the Faction Turn 23 will be right here on the same Twitch channel next week and available on YouTube as always shortly after the turn is complete. We'll be processing up the next faction turns, and who knows, seeing if there are any other surprises in the works. Well, signing off from MudCon and the in orbit of Helocytus in the Thesis system, I've been Xavier Stortis. This has been my co-host.
I'm Lupus Calbrecht.
And we'll sign you off, leaving you with some fun sci-fi music to end our show here today. Thanks everyone for coming out and joining us or watching the VOD on YouTube after the fact. We really appreciate it. And of course, if you're interested in joining and learning more about the setting, please be sure to join our Discord. Links are either down below or !Discord in the Twitch chat. Thanks so much everyone for joining. Here's that cool music I promised.